Welcome back. Before I get started, I want to talk to you a little bit about our determination. From the time that we were children, we faced challenges. Along the way, we've had to solve problems that other people did not have to solve. And our journey has given us many opportunities to develop skills and to learn things and to apply the things that we've learned to affect our success. And today we're surviving, if not succeeding, in an economy that was never designed for us to succeed. And many times we question the purpose. We question the role of destiny in making our life on earth more difficult than it seemed to need to be. Many times we question the reason of our pain, the reason we're experiencing challenges, the reason why it feels like the odds are stacked against us. Well, one thing that I discovered throughout this short life that I've been living is all of the things that we have experienced and all the things that we have survived and all the problems that we've solved were all meant to develop determination. Whenever anything changes in life, anything changes in society or in our country, or whenever anything changes in our companies, uh, whenever anything changes in our personal life, it always takes determination. And the things that I see right now in society, in our country, and in our industries, at our companies that need to change, and the problems that we need to solve, they're great, great challenges, great. We're going to need great solutions. And those great solutions require great determination in order to successfully implement a solution to the problems that we face. And now it's almost poetic, if not um, uh, an act of destiny, that we have had to go through the things that we've had to go through, that our ancestors had to go through the things that they had to go through. Somewhere in our blood, somewhere in our DNA is a determination that is second to none. Somewhere in your DNA is a determination that is second to none. And it's that great determination that we share that gives me the confidence to see and confidence in the vision to see that if we can be 1% better today, with our great determination, we can be 1% better tomorrow. And if we can be 1% better tomorrow with that great determination, we can get to a whole week. And if we get to the end of the week getting 1% better, then over the course of a week, it will be 7% better. And with that great determination, if we can get to the end of the week, then we can get to 2 weeks and we can eventually get to a month. And if we can use our great determination to be 1% better for an entire month, then that great determination can help us be 1% better for another month until we get to a year. And over the course of the year, if we get 1% better over the course of the year, if we get 1% more focused, 1% more productive, 1% better at using teamwork, 1% better at communication, 1% better in our hearts and our souls and our minds, if we get 1% better for an entire year, then over the course of a year, we'll be over 300% better than we were when we started the year. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist, or it doesn't take a therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a life coach to understand that if you become 1% better every single day for an entire year, and you'll be 300% better at the end of the year. And if you're 300% better at the end of the year, then your life, your ability to reach your personal and professional goals will increase by at least 300%. And if you can reach your goals and if you can be 300% better, then you can inspire the people in your family to be 300% better. And if your family can be 300% better, then you can inspire the people in your community to be 300% better. And if you can inspire the people in your community to be 300% better, then we can also inspire the people that we go to school with, that we work with, to be 300% better. And if we can inspire the people that we go to school with and that we work with to be 300% better, then we can create 300% better profits for our companies, and by being more efficient and by generating more revenue. And if we can make our companies 300% more profitable, then our industries can be 300% better. As our companies grow, our industries will grow. And if our industries can be 300% larger, then our economy can also be 300% larger, because our industries can set the example and inspire other industries to be 300% better. And if our economy is 300% better, then eventually our country will be 300% stronger. And if our country is stronger, then one day we'll be able to create the conditions that we need in order to change the course of history. We use our great determination to be 300% better, then I believe one day we'll all be able to live our dreams, because we'll be able to create the economy that we need in order to change so many people's lives, so that men, women, and children of every ethnicity can experience prosperity and live in harmony. I believe that this is possible because I believe in your great determination, because I have the same thing operating in my life. It's the reason why I have been able to climb up the ranks of the United States military and earn a commission as an officer in the United States Air Force, and climb up the ladders of corporate America as a consultant at one of the big four accounting firms. I've had to develop great determination along the way, which has given me the confidence that I needed in order to stand up and speak as a keynote speaker and to create this movement out of nothing. And now we're over 1,000 subscribers and we're on our way to 2,000. But it's that great determination that drives me every single day to get better every single day. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about taking ownership, because taking ownership of ourselves and our careers, and taking ownership of our legacy is something that I believe is very critical the in our success. I believe one of the reasons why we are with great determination, I believe one of the reasons why we are sometimes so unsettled or so anxious, is because we have been convinced by people who love complacency, and we've been convinced by people who are ignorant and maybe a little bit jealous. We've been convinced by them to not take ownership of ourselves, to not take ownership of our career and our contributions to it, to not take ownership of our contributions to society. See, we're convinced, and I find that this is very subtle, it's very cunning, that we've been convinced to blame people. We have been convinced that if we're not happy, then we should blame someone for us not being happy. We've been convinced that there are so many toxic people out there, you just name one of them, and we should blame one of them for how we feel personally. If we're not satisfied with our dating life, or if we're not satisfied with our relationships, then blame society, or blame the companies, or blame the social media apps, or uh, we're so many times we're convinced by people to blame other people for our personal situation. So if we have a low self-esteem, a lot of times we would like to blame people for our low self-esteem. It is my responsibility, and I feel very passionate about this. It's my duty to let you know that you can live a better life if you begin taking personal ownership of yourself. Be personally responsible for your happiness, for your fulfillment, for your contentment. And I believe that you can do this in 3 steps. The first thing you want to do is learn to accept yourself. Part of taking ownership of uh, your personal goals and your personal situation and how you're personally positioned in life is making sure that you're accepting yourself. Accept your flaws, accept your successes. I've talked about that in other videos, but learn to accept yourself. After you accept yourself, your weaknesses and your strengths, develop yourself. Put yourself on a personal development journey. Um, if you do that, you can get 1% better every single day at whatever skill you've decided to develop, whether it's communication or your productivity or time management or your focus or um, your pursuit of excellence. You want to make sure that um, you become 1% better. So that's the second step, is to develop yourself. One of the one of the most amazing things that happens when you decide to develop yourself, you become more immune to people who are there to just discourage you. You become more immune to those people who are your critics, who tell you what you have not done or what you're not able to do or what you messed up on, because every single criticism, whether or not they want to take it as constructive or not, every single criticism that you experience, every single negative thing that happens to you or that someone does to you turns into an exercise. It turns into an exercise of survival. It turns into an exercise that you can practice resilience and determination. It turns into an exercise for you to be sharper mentally. It may turn into an exercise of communication, but every single thing, because you've chosen to develop yourself, you've taken ownership of yourself, every single thing turns into something good, something that you can use a little bit later. The third thing to do to take ownership of yourself is you want to make sure that you appreciate and you express gratitude for who you are as a person. I've talked about that in other videos, but you want to make sure that you appreciate thoroughly the way you look, because that allows you to love yourself. You want to make sure that you appreciate thoroughly your ability, regardless of how unvarnished it is, regardless of how undeveloped it is. Make sure that you are thankful for the natural talents that you have. Maybe you have eyes and you can see, you have a mouth that you can speak and communicate, you have ears that you can hear. The most basic functions. You don't have to have a skill like an artist, or you don't have to be really good at math or engineering or whatever it is, but you can just be thankful for the fact that you're a human being and you have the ability to experience the world. You have the ability to be empathetic. You have an ability to connect and communicate with people. But just be thankful. Be grateful for your abilities. That those three steps are so important for you to take ownership of yourself. The next thing um, that is the next step along the journey is to be thankful for and take ownership for your career. Many times when we don't get the jobs that we want or we don't get into the schools that we want, it's easy to blame the system. It's easy to blame a minority because of affirmative action or the lack thereof. It may be easy to blame your parents for not sending you to the right schools early enough. It may be easy to blame your test scores, or maybe you didn't have the right tutor or the right teachers to teach you the way you needed to be taught. It's easy to blame other people for our career. That's the point that I'm making. And if we're going to be successful, if you're going to live the life that you want to live and reach your personal professional goals, we have to begin taking ownership of our career. Nothing really happened for me in the military when I was serving as an aircraft mechanic in the United States Air Force until I took ownership of my career. I had it in my mind that I wanted to be a commissioned officer. And as a aircraft mechanic, I knew that it was going to be a hard path for me to become a commissioned officer. Not very many people can make the jump from enlisted to officer. And I remember asking my sergeants, the people in my life, about their advice on what I should do next and what has worked in the past. And I began to take ownership of it. I didn't blame the people who said I couldn't do it. I didn't focus too much on the people who had done it and failed and they were just trying to discourage me. I learned from them and I began to develop myself. I remember going to the education office and taking courses to take these standardized college exams. And I remember studying because my scores weren't what they I wanted them to be. And I remember retaking it and retaking it. And it wasn't easy. It was something that was very humbling. Developing yourself and going on a personal journey is very humbling. But like I was saying before, it makes you more immune to the people who say mean things about you. It makes you more immune to your critics. It makes you more immune to your haters if you continue to develop yourself because you know whatever they're doing, you're just going to use it as fuel. You're going to use it as motivation. You're going to use it as an exercise to develop another skill that you're going to be able to use to be successful later on. And along the way, when I would achieve certain things, so when I got accepted into the base honor guard, and I was able to represent the Air Force at a lot of these ceremonies. I was building my extracurriculars to show that I wasn't just an aircraft mechanic that was going there and doing their job. I was one of those high speed, low drag individuals that could be from that could make the transition from enlisted to officer. And I remember along the way how thankful I was when people would come up to me and say, "Hey, thank you for your service." I remember how grateful that I was that I was keeping my nose clean and I had good advice and I had good people to mentor me, but I was just so thankful for each and every opportunity, regardless of how inconvenient the it was, regardless of how much difficulty it was. Each assignment or each task that I was given that people would tell me that, hey, if you do this, it'll put you in a better position. I was just very grateful for everything and even the small and minor victories. I was very grateful for them. And that gratitude allowed me to have longevity because when things wouldn't go right, let's say for example, I was training for the PT test for the United States Air Force Academy, and I couldn't run. There was there was times when just my lung capacity wasn't there. Growing up in Southern California, near sea level, and then trying to run at the Air Force Academy, which is over 7,000 feet above sea level, I just couldn't run. My lungs couldn't adjust, and I remember feeling like I was going to pass out. And it was at the time when I was like, man, if I pass out on these runs, if I'm not able to meet the physical conditioning requirements for the Air Force Academy, then all the work that I've done to put me in a position to even attend the Air Force Academy would be wasted. And at the time, I felt like on one of my shoulders was anxiety, and on one of my shoulders was like a calm peace. And the longer I listened to the voice on my shoulder that was calm and peaceful, the more thankful that I became. I was just grateful that I hadn't passed out. I was just grateful that I hadn't quit. I was just grateful that I still had motivation and that I still believe that if when I catch my breath, I'll be able to run. Eventually, I did catch my breath, and eventually, I did run, and eventually graduated from the Air Force Academy with a Bachelor's of Science in Military Strategy. But none of that would have been possible if I did not take ownership of my career. If I did not accept my strengths and weaknesses, if I didn't continue to work and develop myself, and if I didn't remain grateful. I remember them asking me one time if you wouldn't mind coming to the preparatory school instead of going straight from enlisted to the Air Force Academy as a full-time cadet. And I remember them asking me that, and I heard the reluctance or the doubt in my voice, or sorry, the doubt in their voice, and there was no doubt in my voice. I said, absolutely. I would take the opportunity. I would relish the opportunity to go to the prep school. Some people don't want to go to the prep school because they think it's a little bit beneath them, but I took that opportunity. Shout out to my B Squad folks out there. And I believe it's one of the reasons why I was successful